Hello, I hope you're well today. I've had a lot of people asking me recently about socialising sober. A lot of people expressing fear, anxiety, worrying about if they stop drinking, what's going to happen to all of their social circles and the social events that they go to on a regular basis. And this is a really common thing. So in today's video, I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to share with you my recent Saturday night sober as a way of giving you some inspiration, motivation and reassurance that it is possible to socialise sober and enjoy yourself. And two, I'm going to explain to you kind of what you have to do to get there, to get to that stage where you're effortlessly and easily socialising with friends sober. So first of all, my Saturday night, I had the best time. My partner and I drove about an hour, about 30 minutes, 30-minute drive away. We went to a dance. He and I jived together, 40s and 50s style jiving. And we'd heard that there was a band on and we went to see this band and we basically just danced all night. So we got there, he went to the bar, got himself a drink. I had a tonic water and a pint of water because obviously you sweat a lot when you're dancing, so you need plenty of water. And we just got on the dance floor, we danced all night, we listened to some great music, we chatted to some people we met on the table next to us, and we just had a fantastic time. And I don't know, I love it. I love going to dances and I love dancing. There's something for me, it's a personal taste thing, I know, but for me, dancing is something that just brings me alive. I love the kind of old bluesy, R&B, swingy, rock and rolly, rockabilly type music. As soon as I hear that kind of jivey beat, I just want to get up and dance. It just goes through me. And so I was just in my element. I was listening to the music, I was tapping my foot, I was singing along, I was dragging my partner up to dance. And it was one of those evenings where everything just came together. We danced really well. We were kind of in the flow. We became the centre of attention for a short while. Everybody was clapping us and cheering us on. I knew we were dancing well. I was enjoying myself. It was just a great evening. And at the end of the evening, I drove home, something that I would never have done in a million years when I was drinking. So it was a fantastic evening, and not once during the evening did I think about alcohol. Did I want to have a drink of alcohol? Did I look at anybody else drinking jealously and enviously? It didn't even factor in my thinking. It didn't enter my head. My partner drove us there. We got there and I was just looking forward to the evening. I was looking forward to the band. I was looking forward to the dancing. I was anticipating a great night and I had a great night. Alcohol just doesn't enter my thinking anymore. There is such a stack of huge benefits to socialising sober that when you're used to it and you've got the practice in, it completely outweighs any benefits that you might have had when you were drinking. So the benefits to me from this Saturday evening were that I got to have control. I was in control. When I used to be drinking, I lost control pretty quickly. I got to wake up with crystal clear memories of the night before. I got to drive home, something that I never would have done well, in my drinking days, I never drove home. I used to engineer it and manipulate it so that my other half drove home or we got home in some other way. I got to kind of authentically engage and connect with the people around me, being 100% authentically present. I got to get excited and anticipate the event itself and the connections with other people and the dancing, rather than having 80% of my energy and focus on the drinking and getting drunk. I was 100% there enjoying it. I got to feel a natural high from the music and the dancing and the enjoyment of the experience. I got to drive home, but also I got to be fully compos mentis, so that if I needed to be flexible about anything, if any kind of emergencies arose or we needed to get home quick for any reason, I would have been able to do that. So there's a catalogue of benefits that you get from socialising sober that just aren't there when you're drinking. So what do you need to do to get to that stage of effortlessly enjoying socialising sober? Well, there's a handful of things you can do. Number one, you need to practice. You actually need to practice going to social events sober. But you don't start practicing until you're confident enough with not drinking that you know you can challenge yourself by going to something sociable and do it sober. What I mean by that is, in the early days of stopping drinking, perhaps if you're having to get used to just getting through each evening without drinking, you don't want to put yourself into a situation that's going to be too challenging for you. You want to make it as easy on yourself as possible. So it might be for some people in the early days of stopping drinking, and this was certainly true for me, the first 2 to 3 months that I stopped drinking, I didn't go near bars, I didn't go near parties, I didn't go near any of those kind of social events that I knew would be too challenging for me. So you might want to hide away from those things for a while. But when you're ready and when you're confident enough, you can gradually introduce yourself to social events, and you can practice doing them sober. And you can do it very gradually. You can choose to attend something for just an hour, 20 minutes if you need to, before you leave. You give yourself an excuse to leave. So number one is you practice and you introduce yourself gradually if you need to. Number two is you plan and prepare for the social events that you're going to be attending. You plan how long a period of time you're going to spend there. If it's easier for you to mentally cope with just being there for an hour, then just be there for an hour. And plan some excuses and reasons why you need to leave after the hour, because that gives you a feeling of control, gives you a feeling of confidence. You can plan and prepare what you're going to be saying to other people. You can actually physically rehearse saying all of these things out loud, so you can anticipate that you're going to get challenged by somebody. Somebody might ask you, oh, what are you having to drink? And you're going to say a tonic water, and they're going to look really surprised and say, what are you talking about? I'll get you a pint or a wine or whatever it might be. You need to plan for those scenarios and those challenges happening, and you need to pre-rehearse what it is you're going to say and do when you're confronted by some of those challenges. So practicing is important, but planning and preparation is also important. And another key to managing social events successfully sober in the early days is that you mentally rehearse what it's going to be like. So you kind of give your brain a chance to accept and understand that you're doing things differently, and you want to kind of prime your brain to understand that it is possible for you to do things differently. And because you've never done it before, or you're not used to doing it, you need to mentally rehearse doing that sober event, whether you're going to be there for 20 minutes, an hour, or the whole thing. You're going to mentally rehearse doing that. So you're just going to imagine yourself going into that event sober, what you're going to be drinking, where you're going to be situated, who's going to be around you. And you kind of run through it as a bit of a kind of mental video, an imaginary video of you in the scene running through that event sober, and what it's going to be like when you do it successfully sober. And by mentally rehearsing being successfully sober at this event, you give yourself a much higher chance of doing it successfully in reality. So, quick recap. What you have to do to get to that place of being effortlessly, happily and enjoyably sober at social events is you need to, number one, hide away from them in the early days of getting sober if you have to. Don't put yourself into too much of a challenging situation that you're going to set yourself up to reduce your chances of success. So hide away if you have to in the early days. Number two, gradually introduce yourself to those social situations. Number three, plan and prepare for them. And number four, mentally rehearse being successful. When you have all of these things in place, you're much more likely to sail your way effortlessly and easily through social situations sober and reap all the benefits that I've described earlier. Let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about social events sober? What are your experiences of socialising sober? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more information, tips, advice and inspiration on living your life happily and healthily sober, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll look forward to catching up with you really soon, but in the meantime, let's go get sober together.